What's the first thing you think of when you hear Dead by Daylight? Some of you will probably say looping the killer or killing the survivors, having casual fun with friends, or even going on a 2000 win streak with Blight. The thing is, there is no right answer. It was a hypothetical question, you dummy. This game is so vast and has attracted so many different types of players, which makes any answer you would think of equally valid. As a game designed to be asymmetrical, Dead by Daylight's players were always going to be divided. When you join DBD's community, it is really easy to pick a side, and very quickly you will find yourself defending that side. You will start noticing players on either side, running meta builds, playing in the most optimal way, and generally taking any advantage they can to win. This usually happens if you only stick to playing one role though. If you don't explore the other option, and if you don't actually step in the shoes of the other side, you will never get the full picture of the game. So why am I talking about this? Of course, the asymmetrical game with two completely different playstyles and teams is going to have a rivalry between the two sides. Well, that's not the only rivalry in Dead by Daylight. I would say that there is a huge division between the casual players and the sweats, and none of these groups are independent of each other. There is a lot of crossover between them. Both of these groups have wildly different visions of what Dead by Daylight is and what Dead by Daylight should be. This puts the developers in an unwinnable situation, where they have to choose which audience they are going to cater to. The game was originally designed to be way more scarier and way more casual, usually being referred to as a party game. This focus on more casual gameplay can be seen in early map design, where everything was way more darker and atmospheric, at the cost of being way harder to see. This promoted a more stealth-oriented playstyle for the survivors, where they were actually scared to go against the killer, and looping was more of a thing you did if you were found. Nowadays, most people don't even bother hiding from the killer, because they are confident in their looping capabilities. One more thing to point out is that loops were designed very differently themselves, because these early survivors didn't really know how to utilize them properly. There were literal god windows, connected tiles, which, if you played properly, would make you literally uncatchable. Community didn't really have a problem with them at first, until they found out that you can actually waste more of the killer's time by running around these tiles than actually hiding. So in a sense, looping is more of a community construct than intended mechanic by the developers, which I find really interesting. It's not that often that you see the community coming up with a unique way to play the game that is more optimal than what the developers intended, and the developers actually embracing it and accepting it. I personally think looping in Dead by Daylight is actually hard, and it takes a lot of practice and a lot of muscle memory to be good at. I also think that learning how to loop can be pretty tough, since you get a limited chase time per trial. Of course, if you're facing a killer that is leagues better than you, your chases probably aren't going to last that long, and I don't think you will learn a lot from them. So yeah, with looping being the survivor's stronger tool against the killers, the killer players had to adapt. So what did they do? They came up with their own unique strategies. They started mind gaming certain pallets and loops. They developed a technique where they were able to hide their red stain so the survivors couldn't see where they're coming from, also known as moonwalking. And also, probably the most important strategies for this topic were the so-called toxic playstyles. This of course refers to camping, tunneling and slugging. Highly debatable and controversial even to this day. Some killer players feel like they are an unnecessary thing to win some matches. Well, true. These strategies often leave survivors feeling mad because they didn't even get a chance to play the trial. It's a really bad feeling when you get camped or tunnel off the hook. So what are survivors going to do when they see that one of their teammates is getting camped? They're going to rush gens, of course. So the term gen rushing is born, and so on and so on. When one of the sides finds something that counters the other side's playstyle, it usually isn't too long before it gets countered themselves. And of course, this sparks a lot of argument in the endgame chat, where people think that the other side playstyle is toxic, while they were just trying to deal with the things they brought. People often feel like they're forced to bring good builds to even have a chance to win. You can see how this snowballed out of the control, and behavior didn't do too much to address this. In fact, in the beginning, they were actually just adding fuels to the flame by releasing perks that were enabling these kinds of playstyles. Behavior's response first came in a way of band-aid fixes. They saw that people were getting tunneled. Boom, here's the perk for that. Oh, you're getting slugged? Boom, here's Unbreakable. Same argument goes for the killers. Oh, the survivors you're slugging are getting picked up? No worries. Here's Knockout. You want to hold a 3-gen and hold survivor hostage for hours until the server's timeout? We got you. Here's Call of Brain Eruption. In my opinion, behaviors attempted addressing these issues with perks completely backfire, because when one perk helps fix one problem, some other perk makes a completely new one. And yes, this is how metas are created in games. But I just think that behavior encouraged these types of unfun metas with their perk design. I want to give current behavior some props, because it looks like they're actually trying to address these things at their cores, not just putting band-aids on them, so that's some great news. Maps feel way more balanced, loops are generally more balanced, and if there are some broken loops, there is usually only one that spawns. Killer powers and add-ons are constantly updated. They're trying to achieve some kind of equilibrium is what I'm trying to say. Just have fun. We've all heard this term before. It's the notion that as long as you're having fun in a game, it doesn't matter if you're playing it optimally. And some people live by this motion, whilst the other ones despise it. It all comes back to you as a player. Since there is not a specific rank mode in Dead by Daylight, most of these types of players are mixed together, and they don't mix very well. Maybe adding a separate ranked mode would help remedy this problem, or maybe it will split the already divided community even more. Who knows? As for my opinion, I don't think DBD should have a separate ranked mode, since I don't think this game should be taken as seriously as some people take it. One thing that should help with this problem that Behavior implemented themselves is the skill-based matchmaking system and its MMR component. The system doesn't do too much, since it's super easy to hit the MMR soft cap and the players still get mixed. So does DBD actually have an identity crisis? Well, kinda. I think the developers are trying to make an experience that suits both sides of the community. I just don't know if that would be possible without dividing the community even more. In conclusion, I think the DBD is headed in the right way. We've had some really good updates recently, and I hope we as a community will find a way to make the game more enjoyable for everyone. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.